Hello everybody and welcome to our eGPlearning really difficult New Year's quiz. So you got myself and you got Andy. How are we doing, Andy?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Gandhi. I can see you're at work. I have been in work this morning, but I'm now away from work, limbering up for New Year's Eve celebrations.
Cool. And we thought that we would run something just a little bit different, a little bit interesting to try and help you all with kind of the chaos that's going around and to kind of see off the new year with a little bit of, well, geeky style, shall we say. So to basically for the next half hour or so, I've created a rather difficult quiz, and it is intentionally difficult because one of the reasons is if it was easy, then everybody would be able to do it for a start. And as many of you know, I'm a little bit geeky and love this kind of stuff. But to try and make sure that it's not too weird, I've actually asked some of our friends to join us in terms of offering the questions. So we've had, I think, about 9 questions offered by fellow GPs that many of you probably come across. So we've got questions from Nikki Kanani, we've got questions from Dr. Kate King, Katie Bramble-Stainer, Margaret McCartney, loads of people, and we're going to go through those as we go along in the quiz. In order to play along, so you do need to join the quiz itself. And hopefully this will work that you can do this live, as in now. So I can see there's about 15 people already joining us live for this. But hopefully if this works, you'll actually also be able to play this in the background on the replay. And to help manage that on the replay version, we will post the answers later. So it's going to kind of chop off and do some weird things. Fingers crossed it's going to work. I was kind of telling Andy about this process, and hopefully it will work as planned. But the obvious question is what happens and how are we going to do the quiz, and also what do you get? So first of all, I'm going to talk about what you get. So if you get all the questions right, all the people who do play will get the super virus game that I created earlier this year, the full kind of version and stuff. We'll email that to you because you will need to give us your email address in order to play. For one person who gets all the questions right, then you will get basically a voucher for £50. Because we kind of thought it'd be nice to have a nice little prize and gift and stuff. And Andy's going to be joining you and playing because he doesn't actually know any of the questions or the answers.
So guys, I'm coming to this completely cold. I don't know any of the questions. I don't know any of the answers. I am here as your representative to respond a little bit to the questions and maybe even ask for some clarity and see what I think, vocalize. I have scanned the QR code on the screen. I could have used a link going across the bottom to open up in a different window or on my phone the Google Forms template on which I will be entering my answers along with my email address so that I will be eligible for the prize when it is offered. So I am all set and ready to go, and you guys just need to do those things. Scan the QR code or open up in another browser the web link that's going across the bottom, and you will be all set to go.
Sure. In terms of the questions, so they're all generally one or short answer form questions. There's no MCQs or anything like that. What I would ask is when you put your answers in, please put everything in lowercase, just because it's automatically marked, and caps lock seems to make it go a bit funny. So please answer in lowercase. And at the end, we've got 5 image questions that you're going to have. So I'll put those up towards the end and giving you guys a chance to have a look at those, as also think back onto the questions and stuff. Shall we get started? What do you think, Andy? All right.
Yeah, so let's go. I'm raring to go.
Yeah.
Question 1.
Just to make sure,
yes,
everybody, if you haven't done so already, either type in the link that's scrolling below. So that's bit.ly/eGPlearning quiz 2020, all in lowercase, or scan the QR code in the top corner, and that should take you straight to the form. Once you've got the form open, just stick your email address in and your name. It'd be nice if we can have that. And then as a result of that, we can get you started. So first and foremost, we've already got some comments. No, first of all, Mega Mapster, the answer to all the questions is not COVID-19 for everything, so don't worry about that. However, most of the questions do relate to stuff that has happened this year or weird stuff that you're going to find out, aren't you? So let's get started, shall we? So first question, and this was actually offered by Dr. Nikki Kanani. So in 2020, we've obviously had a year of video meetings and webinars, and who could have predicted their effectiveness for general practice?
That was good. That was a good prediction, Gandhi.
Yeah. But what I want to know, and what Dr. Nikki Kanani would like to know, is how many official NHSE webinars has she done in 2020 for general practice, care homes, pharmacies, and dental areas? So what is the number? Please put the answer as an actual number. Don't write the answer as a number, because that won't work. And if you put weird, funny answers, I'm afraid you won't get marked for them either. So don't do that, please. But simple number, how many webinars has Nikki Kanani done officially for NHSE in terms of helping primary care, general practice, care homes, all that kind of stuff in 2020? What are you thinking there, Andy?
Wow. So I know she is prolific. It's been maybe averaging, I don't know, one a week, more than one a week, probably. Gosh. So I'm not sure. I think it's going to be very difficult for someone to nail the absolute number. I know I've not seen them all. So yeah, I've done my best guess. It's locked in.
Okay. As I said, this is a really difficult quiz. All right, well, let's go on to question number 2 then. So something a little bit more fun. As many of you know, I love board games, massive geek around them. And there's a few medical themed ones. And one in particular that many people have probably heard about is the Operation board game. So what I want to know is, what year was it first published?
Ooh, that's good. So I definitely remember playing this as a child. So I think it's definitely early 1980s. I really don't know. I think it's probably it must be a 70s game, I think. I'm going to go latter half of the 1970s. Personally, other people may differ. I'm not going to say exactly what I'm playing because I want to win. So there we go.
Andy is playing to win, as you can tell there. It'll be interesting to see how well he does. All right, so just that question again, when was the Operation board game first published? What year was it first published in? All right, next up. So this question is from Kate Nicklick, who's the GP Federation Chief Operating Officer in Barking and Dagenham, and somebody I follow on Twitter, and he does some amazing posts every week about kind of the organizational management stuff, so definitely recommend having a look at that. But his question is, how many PCN roles are currently limited to 1 per network?
So, I mean, the obvious one is the physios, Gandhi. It's just whether there's another 1 or 2 or more. So I know we had to get permission to get more than 1 physio. So so that one's for sure. Right. I'm locking in a guess. There we go. And maybe we've helped out some of the people. It's probably should know, but I think I haven't pushed up against that wall personally. I think there's more, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. We'll see. All right, next up is a maths question. All right, relating to pizza. So Andy's a little bit confused now, but pizza is a fan favorite in our household. My kids love it, especially cheese and tomato. It's their absolute favorite. But what I want to know is, how much reimbursement do practices get if they deliver the full pizza box version of the Pfizer vaccine, assuming that 5 doses are given per vial and there's no wastage?
Getting the calculator out.
Yeah, it's a bit of a maths question here.
I'm plugging in some numbers. Fine. Gandhi, can you just repeat the question for the benefit? Sure. I know it's written on the screen, but if people are listening, just repeat the question. That might be helpful.
Not a problem. So how much reimbursement do practices get for delivering a full box of Pfizer COVID vaccinations, assuming that they are delivering 5 doses per vial and there is no wastage whatsoever? So if you know the numbers, it's a simple maths question.
Okay, right. Put an answer
and you do or do not have to put the pound sign. It doesn't matter. The answer should pick up.
I was just going to ask that, actually. Okay, yeah. I've not put the pound sign.
Okay, fair enough. Right, next up is question 5, and this is from Dr. Kate King, who's a good colleague of mine, and she's done some amazing work, particularly helping to understand how you do video consultations and stuff. So many of you have probably seen that, as well as her work with myself in terms of creating reading lists for many of you out there. But what she wants to know is, Trisha Greenhalgh, who also happened to join us for some of our live streams earlier on in the year, rode the charge when it came to wearing masks in public and everything along those lines. But what book did she write that's often found on a GP trainee and medical students' bookshelves?
I don't know the answer.
I did say this would be hard.
I feel like it's one of those I should. Maybe it should be on my bookshelf.
Possibly. Well, I would say trainers and stuff should have ideally read this as well. I mean, if you're talking about evidence-based medicine, Trish Greenhalgh absolutely is the person to look up and understand and things. But yeah, what is the name of the book that she wrote that pretty much most trainees or medical students have probably come across, and trainers and things?
I'm so resisting the temptation to Google.
Well, that's a probity thing. If you're having to cheat to answer these, that's just not fair, is it?
I'm reflecting on my feelings around it and resisting the urge, Gandhi. But I'm so used to just being able to Google and just sort of just having instant access to the knowledge. It's uncomfortable to have to wait. Just a reflection for you there.
So we've got quite a few comments, people answering in the chat. Feel free to answer in the chat, but don't forget, answers will only be accepted if you put them on the Google form that the link is going down below, or the QR code in the top corner to scan those. We will review all the questions and stuff. But yeah, it is really hard. Damien's mentioning, is he disqualified because he's asked a question? Actually, no, Damien, I'd be surprised if you still managed to get all of them, because the whole point is you shouldn't be able to. Well, we'll see. Anyway, somebody might surprise me, but you're welcome to join in as well. Next question. Right, so question number 6. And this is why it's going to be hard. So as many of you know, I love my keyboards. I love typing, and often talk about the fact that the quicker you can type is the quicker you can work. And for those of you who've been watching the videos lately from eGPlearning, you're only going to know this if you have actually been watching the stream. So a simple question is, what color is my spacebar key on my keyboard at work?
I've seen the keyboard that you use, Gandhi, but I'm not sure. I know you have different colored keys. It's quite a it's an interesting custom built keyboard. Just what people are thinking. Which switches have you gone for? Have you gone for the cherry brown switches? Or
I am so mine on this particular keyboard, it's custom built ones that are closest to the Cherry MX Reds. So they're linear keys, because Ajaz, the keyboard company that I use, have their own kind of proprietary switches, but they're basically just smooth, which is why I like them and stuff.
No resistance, no click. Got it.
Yeah.
Good.
And unfortunately, this is one you won't be able to Google. So even if you look at the keyboard, you won't find out, because I have customed them. But if you've been watching the latest videos, you'll see it on there.
Could go on YouTube. That would, but of course, probity issues. We don't. I think we'd probably frown upon that. I think.
No problem. So next up, so again from one of our friends, and this is actually from the legend that is Dr. Margaret McCartney, who is the evidence-based queen when it comes to anything. And what she wants to know is, in what year did Wilson and Junger publish their landmark World Health Organization paper, The Principles and Practices of Screening for Disease?
Right. I think this is going to be a guess on my part. I think I do remember visiting the principles. I don't know if they're. I remember visiting the principles of screening at various points in training, from medical school through GP training, and I think they were probably the principles set out in this landmark paper. And it struck me as quite old knowledge at that time. So I'm thinking this might be one from the sort of mid 20th century, I'm thinking.
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a clue, and that clue is simply, it was after the Operation Board Game was published.
Much more recent than I was thinking, unless the Operation Board Game was much more distant in the past than I was thinking. Okay, but I will answer consistent with my previous answer. Okay.
And for Damien's comment about is question 4 trick answer, question 4 was the pizza box one about how much you get reimbursed for the Pfizer vaccination. It is not a trick answer. It is simply a mathematical question. All right, next up, we're going on to question 8. So question 8 is a little bit more interesting, and it's another year that I'm going to be asking for. So while many of us have turned to our PCNs for support in the past year, the LMCs are actually the main representative body for general practice. And what I would like to know is, in what year were they officially recognised as the statutory body for representing general practice? So in what year were LMCs made into statutory organisations to represent general practice?
So I'm not directly involved with the LMC, so I'm at a bit of a disadvantage to you here, Gandhi. But I do know that when the LMC talk about their history locally, they talk about actually being quite an old organisation. Maybe I'm giving too many points here. They talk about predating the NHS. That's something that they often talk about. So that puts us, prior to 1948. So I'm pitching probably first quarter 20th century, personally, and I'm going to pick a date in there. Be interesting. Is it pre First World War, post First World War? I think that's the big consideration. Won't have happened during, I don't think.
Well, we'll see. Again, just to go back to question 4, just because Damien's raising this point, and I don't want there to be any confusion. Question 4 is a maths question. There's no funniness about the payments and that you don't get paid till you give the second dose. It's nothing like that. It is just simply a maths equation that you need to work out. So how many doses do you get in a standard box times by the reimbursement, etc. Anyway, we're going to crack on to question 9 now. So question 9, and this is from Dr. Jamie Hines, who's a colleague of ours and who has been helping people to consult in a nutshell. And what he wants to know is which famous pioneering Yorkshire GP, going back to where I trained and everything, advanced the understanding of incubation periods and used epidemiological charts in his primary care career. So it would have been really useful during a pandemic, wouldn't he? So just to read that out, which Yorkshire GP advanced the understanding of incubation periods and used epidemiological charts in his primary care career?
I have no idea about this. I don't know. I don't even know any pointers. I'm not sure. I know Florence Nightingale invented the pie chart. Maybe you should have asked that. Everyone knows that, though. Okay. I'm just going to pick a random Yorkshire name. Don't know. Mr. E. Bygum. Edward Bygum. That's what we'll go for.
Well, we're going to go a bit more pop culture this time round. So many of us are taken to wearing scrubs in practice, as you can see by me modelling mine, having just finished work and things. But what I want to know is what is the name of the character who plays the janitor in the TV programme Scrubs? So not the actor's name, what's his character's name?
I used to really like this show. I can't remember the name of this guy. I'm not sure. I'll make one up. I'm gonna think he looked like maybe he was a Brad. I think I got some sort of jock vibe from him. Maybe he played a bit of football in high school. Could have been a Brad or a Chad, something like that. That's where I'm pitching.
We'll find out shortly. For those of you thinking, oh my God, this is far too hard. Don't worry, we've got some easier questions coming up, particularly the image ones. Hopefully should provide a little bit of entertainment and definitely easier than some of these. And next up, we've got a question from one of my personal heroes, Dr. Katie Bramall-Stainer, who many of you probably come across on Twitter and various other places, and is a font of quizzing knowledge, I might add. She's known very much as a Quizler, or I don't actually know what the official term is.
Quizzers, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a Quizzer. Oh, that's a good one. And what she wants to know is, what is the floral middle name of Rene Laennec, the French physician who invented the stethoscope? So there is a clue in there. It's a bit floral, as you can tell. But what is the middle name of Rene Laennec, the French physician who invented the stethoscope?
That's a good one. Not very French. I'm going to put Daisy, because I think that would be a nice floral name for her to have. So everyone can copy me, put Daisy, and it's a sure bet.
We'll see, shall we, Andy? All right, moving on to question 12. So let's be honest, over the past year, most of general practice has moved over to using the telephone as a route of communication and consultations. But what I want to know, in what year was the first documented telephone consultation?
Ooh, that's interesting. So it's probably either really, really early, and is documented maybe in like a sort of recorded radio sort of report, or or some early television report, or it's a lot later than we might think because they were occurring, but no one was either recording them as telephone consultations in their clinical record or recording them at all. So they were just conversations maybe that weren't recorded. So I'm going to go early, and I'm going to say that maybe the Queen or some early royalty had a fangled telephone consultation with their GP, and that this was reported somehow. So I'm going to go fairly early, but I might be completely off the mark. Right.
So a slight clue just to help you out there. So this is the earliest year date in the quiz.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Going to change my answer. Fine. Carry on.
Next up, question 13, and this has come from our friend Ben Gowland, who is running the General Practice podcast. And actually, if you check out our episode on Saturday, is actually us and Ben chatting about how general practice has kind of been over the 2020, basically year in review. So definitely listen out for that episode coming out on Saturday for you. But what Ben wanted to know is how many kind of, when we look at QOF and that kind of stuff, PCNs have their own kind of version of QOF, which is the Impact and Investment Fund. And how many points are available to PCNs in 2020 and 2021 for the Investment and Impact Fund?
I don't think I know the specific answer here.
Andy, you're a PCN clinical director. You should know.
I know. I should know this. Yeah. What shall I? Let's go. Let's pick a figure. I don't know. I'm not going to vocalize what I'm putting.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to vocalize. I'm just going to go in there and pop a figure in.
Okay. No.
Leave people at home hanging.
So just to review that one again, how many investment and impact fund points are available to PCNs in 2020, 2021? Okay. So our next question, as you'll see on the form, there are actually two opportunities to answer this because there's two answers for this particular question. And this particular question is actually being asked by Dr. Serena Chibber, who's a colleague of ours and runs my locum manager. And she's actually submitted her questions as a video for us. So we're going to watch her ask the question, and I'll bring it up on the screen afterwards for everyone. So I'm just going to take me and Andy off because it makes it look a little bit nicer and not weird otherwise.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year. I'm Serena, I'm a GP co-founder of My Locum Manager, and my quiz question is for locum GPs. According to medical accountants, which two expenses are the most significant that locum GPs can claim as tax deductible? Good luck.
Right. It's two answers, A and B.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter which order you put them in, it's fine. That should hopefully work. As I said, do answer in lowercase, just to make it work a little bit easier.
I've done my tax return not long ago, actually.
Questions did you claim for these? Because these are the two biggies.
I think my mind's a bit of a sieve today, I think. And it's one of those jobs that I just sort of do, and I almost switch my brain off while I'm doing it because I hate pulling together all of that information. So this isn't particularly informed. I think people might claim for their education. I think people spend a reasonable amount on courses. So that's probably reasonable. And maybe equipment. I don't know, but maybe people don't buy that much equipment. It's tough. It's tough. All sorts of things. No, are you claiming for your scrubs now, Gandhi? Are they uniform? Can you claim for those this year? We're not tax advisors.
So I personally can't claim for them because it's provided by the practice.
Fine, but you're getting some sort of tax kind of advantaged position on them. Good. Yeah.
Okay, So that's all the questions. We do have the tiebreaker to come. But before we get to that, I've got some image questions. So these hopefully should be a little bit more entertaining and a little bit easier, to be honest, compared to some of the questions we've had so far. You'll see on the question form that you've got image A, B, C, D, and E. And here you go. These are what you need to decipher.
Right.
So we'll give you a slight clue to try and make it a little bit easier. All of these are people that have joined us on live streams in 2020 on the eGPlearning channel.
Right. People or organizations?
All right, I'll give you it's the latter. They're all organizations or companies.
Organizational. Okay, that's good. I can see a certain number of fish there, which made me ask that question. Right. Keep them up there, Gandhi. I'm working through them.
I'm going to leave them up. Don't worry. They're not going anywhere just yet. So I'm going to leave it up for a couple of minutes whilst I have a little look at the comments. I'm loving the comment, Damien. Thank you for that. You don't need to pay for education when there is eGPlearning.
That's beautiful. Damien, thank you. I think did you get a point for putting that on the form, Gandhi? That's a good one. Give Damien an extra point.
No, so don't forget the marking is automatic. I'm not going to be judging the marking itself. It's all based on the answers you put down. So you do have to be quite clear in what you're putting in.
Okay. This is pretty tough, actually, Gandhi. I think I'm not sure my brain works in this sort of emoticon way. It's like medal Dr. Clown. Okay. Tablet, strange symbol. Okay. Target medicine. Target tablet. Okay, it's tough. It's tough. I think you're right, Gandhi. No one will get full marks on this quiz. I don't think. I would be very, very surprised. Okay, right. I've been putting a few answers in and having a go.
So we'll put this back up in a second, but just before we do that, we're going to go to our tiebreaker question. So this is just in case somebody was to get all of them, or multiple people to get all of them. Kind of wanted to make sure we had a tiebreaker that was suitable enough to distinguish the excellence from the really, really good, shall we say. And this tiebreaker has been offered by Damien Williams, who's been commenting, and thank you for doing that, Damien. So I'm going to bring him on to ask the question as well. Okay, so I'm just going to take myself and Andy off, and then you're going to hear from Damien as he asks his tiebreaker question. I'll stick it underneath afterwards as well. So let's go.
In September 2020, how many prescription items were sent by EPS? Give your answer to the nearest million.
I can see Andy almost kind of cringing from that one. So to the nearest million, how many prescription items were sent by EPS in September 2020?
So
that's interesting. Question.
Yeah, so right, you got to think about it here, haven't you? So you got to think of your approach. You can go from 60 million population. What proportion of those do we think have a regular medication, and what's the average number of medications? Or maybe you can think from your patient population at your surgery, and if you have knowledge of the average number of medications that your patients are on, that might be, and then multiply up to a population level. Yeah, wow. Okay, right. Get the calculator out. Let's pick one.
So that's all the questions. To give you the opportunity to just go through them again, so I'm going to bring up the image ones. You can have a look at those whilst we go through them. I'm just quickly going to go through all 14 of the other questions, including the tiebreaker. So question number 1, how many official NHSE webinars has Dr. Nikki Kanani done in 2020? Question number 2, When was the Operation Board Game first published? In what year? Number 3, how many PCN roles are limited currently to 1 per network in 2020-2021? Question 4, how much reimbursement did practices get for delivering a full pizza box version of Pfizer COVID vaccination, assuming 5 doses of vial and no wastage? And this is just simply a calculation, so there's no trick answer about you don't get paid until you deliver the second vaccine or any other kind of changes along those lines. Question 5, which book did Dr Trisha Greenhalgh write that's often found on GP trainee and medical student bookshelves? Question 6, what color is the spacebar on my keyboard? So if you've been watching our eGPlearning videos for the past few weeks, you would have seen this. Question 7, what year was the Principles and Practices of Screening for Disease paper published? Question number 8, what year were LMCs made into statutory organisations to represent general practice? Question 9, which Yorkshire GP advanced the understanding of incubation periods and used epidemiological charts in his primary care career? Question 10, what is the character name of the janitor in the TV programme Scrubs? Question 11, what was the floral middle name of Rene Laennec, the French physician who invented the stethoscope? Question number 12, in which year was the first documented telephone consultation? Question number 13, how many investment and impact fund points are available to PCNs in 2020-2021? And question number 14, which has 2 answers, that's why there's part A and B on the form. According to the medical accountants, which 2 expenses are the most significant that locum GPs can claim as tax deductible? And the final tiebreaker question we had from Damien, to the nearest million, how many prescription items were sent by EPS in September 2020? And as you can see in the background, we've got our images that you can decipher to try and get the image A, B, C, D, and E questions. So, wonder how people are doing. What are you thinking, Andy?
I'm getting my head around the images now, actually. I think I'm learning the visual language used there. I think I've got some of them. I think the first one's puzzling me a bit, but give myself some thinking time. Gandhi, I've got a question. It's about the tiebreaker and just a technical thing. So should I put so say not my answer, but say my answer was 2 million. It's not my answer. Would I just put 2, or would I put 2,000,000?
So the tiebreaker is just text entry. It's the only one that doesn't link up to weird kind of codes and that kind of stuff. So you can put whatever you want, to be honest. You can even tell me how awful this quiz was and how difficult you find it if you wish to. But yeah, you can put a number, you can put words, whatever, because it's only going to be used if we have a tie. In which case I don't have to look through multiple results and stuff, because that's the challenge with doing this, trying to have short form answer questions that can mark themselves in case we had loads of people participating. We've had 15 people watching, so it'd be interesting to see how many people have participated. I've already got some responses coming through, so if you are joining us live, please submit so we can start tallying this up and see who's going to win.
Right, I'm going to throw in a final image answer.
So I'm going to close the quiz shortly. So please start submitting. Start submitting. But we'll give everyone just a little bit longer, and aware that what you see is slightly delayed from what we're doing by about half a minute or so. So it is just going to carry on, and I can see the entries coming in now. Ooh, climbing there. That's good.
So, Gandhi, do we get our individual scores back for the quiz? Is that technically possible?
No.
Because I'm not receiving a mark. I just wondered whether you'd set it up. I'm not expecting you to individually contact me with my specific score, Gandhi, or anything like that. I just wondered.
So for the live ones, actually, I can do that. That's not a problem. For the replay, so hopefully this will work. That if you're watching this on the replay, that you can play along and enjoy this as well. I will change the kind of quiz thing so that it shows you the answers once you've submitted it, because yeah, that makes it a lot easier for us and for you as well. But yeah, absolutely, we can share those, and we're going to go through the answers shortly. So please, make sure you submitted your answers, because once I click close, I'm afraid any submitted after that won't be counted. because obviously I'll be start giving the results from then.
And as you're doing the results, will I be able to review my submissions again? Because they've all gone now.
No.
No, that's okay. I think I remember what I submitted anyway. Yeah.
Okay, so 30 more seconds, and we're going to close it off. So if you are planning on submitting, you've got 30 seconds to do so from now, because after that point, I'm afraid I won't take any more entries. How well did you think you've done with the image ones, Andy?
I reckon I've got 4, I think, of the 5. It's the first one. I'm just struggling to make it work. Like, what does the clown mean? Like, how is that? How do you turn that into phonetics or a concept? I don't know, but I think I've got the others. I think. But we'll see.
We will see. So I've had a few people join in, and yeah, last few seconds. Okie dokie. So we're going to stop right there. So if you are watching us on the replay, what you will probably see now is another video coming up in the top corner with the link to the answers. So you can join and have a look from there on. But actually, we're going to stop this video if you're watching us on the replay, and you're going to have to watch the other one to check out the answers and stuff. However, if you're joining us live, right, let's go going through these answers, shall we? So let me bring up, so question 1, which was the first one. So how many official webinars has Nikki Kanani done for NHSE in 2020? What did you think, Andy?
I probably a bit high, actually. With hindsight, too high. I think I said 150, which is obviously too much, because that's like 3 a week, which she wasn't doing.
Well, definitely a Herculean effort, but not 150. The actual answer was 46.
All right, you know, I was tempted to go for. I was tempted to go for 1 a week. Yeah, that would have got me closer.
Question number 2 was, when was the Operation Board Game first published? Any ideas, Andy?
So I initially said 1976, and then before I submitted, I changed, and I thought, no, the underlying technology here, this could have been done much earlier than then. So I went for a date in the 50s. I think I went for 1956. It struck me as a very 50s thing. I could imagine a 50s family in America playing that game, maybe a TV advert. So that's what I went for. But
close, but no cigar there, Andy. At 1965.
65. Oh, later. Okay, in the middle of my estimates.
Yeah,
that's good. Gandhi, what do you think is what's the hardest thing to remove on Operation, in your opinion?
I always find that the leg, I can't remember what they call it in the board game, but the rubber band one, that I always find the hardest.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I was thinking the wishbone. But.
No, I always find the rubber band the hardest. Next up from Craig Nicklick. So how many PCN roles are currently limited to 1 per network?
So I said 2. I can't remember what the other one. I did. So I know this, and I've dealt with this information, but I've not retained the information. But I know that there was another one. I can't remember what it is.
Yay, 2.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
So it's physiotherapist and pharmacy technician.
Pharmacy technician. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it was a slight trick one, because some people may have thought 3 with the paramedics, but the paramedics are not available in this year.
Not yet.
Next up, we had the pizza box question about how much reimbursement practices would get for delivering a full pizza box version of Pfizer COVID vaccination. I said it was a maths question. It is simply just a maths question. It's a total of £12,265.50. So £12.48 per vaccine times 5 times 975.
I think I lost a 0 from it, but there we go.
Well. Next up, we had what book did Trisha Greenhalgh write that's often found on GP, trainee, and medical student bookshelves? Any ideas, Andy?
Is it one of these, like, Trust Me, I'm a Doctor, or one of these kind of experience? And then is it Bad Medicine, or who was that?
No, that was Ben Goldacre.
No,
it's How to Read a Paper.
How to Read a. Oh, okay. I've not read it. Maybe I should. Actually, I think I've had contact with the concepts within it, because I've had discussions and things about how to read a paper, but I don't think I've actually read the book. I think someone summarized it all to me.
Well, next up, we've got my favorite question, which is, what is the color of the spacebar on my keyboard? So as I mentioned to many people, I think, learning to type quick is one of the best ways to help you in general practice. Any ideas, Andy?
I said red. I reckon you've got an orange return key, and no. Can you show us? Is it in front of you?
It is. It's right here.
Let's have a look. Space. That's a beautiful keyboard. It's good.
Yep, bright yellow.
Could I support the channel by affiliate linking to buy one? Or is that they don't have an affiliate program?
But you're welcome to get. I do actually think this is an amazing keyboard, and interestingly, we've got some keyboard related videos that are going to be coming out in the new year, partly because I've kind of gone a bit geeky and bought about 5 of them, so we'll be giving one away as well shortly. But yeah, definitely worth checking us out for that later on in the year. Question number 7. So this was Margaret McCartney's question. What is the principles and practice? What year was the principles and practice of screening for disease paper published? It was created by Wilson and Junger.
I can't remember what I put. I think I put 1978 or something in the end. Oh no, I put 1982 because that's when I was born.
Unfortunately, that's a bit too late there, Andy. The actual answer was 1968.
Okay.
So it's a paper that's been out for a while. Next up, we had the question about the LMC. So when were they made statutory organisations to represent general practice?
So I went 1919. I thought maybe they just got the First World War out of the way and then decided that something needed to happen.
Close, Andy, but no cigar again, I'm afraid. So the actual answer was 1911.
So does that predate? Was the BMA in existence?
Nope.
So LMCs
predate
predate the BMA. Okay. So was the BMA the LMCs coming together to
believe so? Yeah,
something like that,
or maybe not. Somebody will probably tell us. But yeah,
tell us in the comments.
Question number 9. Which Yorkshire GP advanced the understanding of incubation periods and used epidemiological charts in his primary care career?
Edward Bygum.
Fortunately not, Andy. Dr. Edward Bygum is not a real person, as we kind of figured out from Andy's comments.
He could be. Try emailing him on NHS email. See if you get a response.
Maybe. The actual answer was Dr. William Pickles.
Okay.
And he definitely would have been handy in a pandemic. Question number 10. So what was the name of the character of the janitor in the TV program Scrubs?
Brad. No, I can't remember.
So this was actually revealed in the final episode. So you had to be a bit of a Scrubs fan to find this out, because it was the only time it was actually revealed. Outside of that, he was always just called the janitor. Interestingly, he was meant to be a temporary character that just went over so well that they made him permanent part of the cast. And the name was Glenn Matthews.
Okay.
As I said,
very ordinary. Yeah.
Very ordinary. Question number 11, which was submitted by Dr. Katie Brownwell-Stainer. So what was the floral middle name of Rene Laennec, the French physician who invented the stethoscope? I think you said you were going for Daisy, didn't you?
Yeah, it's probably not Daisy because it doesn't sound very French. But I was struggling to pull out a sort of French sounding floral name. It's maybe marigold. I don't know.
Hyacinth.
Hyacinth. Oh, okay. Of Hyacinth Bucket fame.
Next up in question 12. So in what year was the first documented telephone consultation? What did you go for, Andy?
You know, I can't remember what I went for. I think I went for something pre-First World War. No, pre-Second World War. So I think I went for something in the 1920s. I can't quite remember.
Okay. A little bit earlier than that, I'm afraid. 1879.
Wow. So Gandhi, do you have any more details about that telephone consultation? You've got to qualify that in some way, or
Yeah. So I've got the paper that actually it was published in the Lancet. In fact, let's see if I can share this so we can have a little look. It was a paper published in the Lancet by Sydney Aronson. Shortly after Alexander Graham Bell actually invented the telephone, and it was to do with the clinician asking, I believe it was the mom, to get the child to cough on the phone, and through that he distinguished it was not croup.
That's fascinating, isn't it? What a pioneer in his day. That must have been an absolutely incredibly new technology. What a pioneer. So, but it took a long time for it to catch on.
Absolutely. Over 100 years.
But I think we use, you know, that's a modern day application for the telephone consultation, isn't it? We do, you know, you can pick up on the nature
how well
of
the indemnity companies would like us dealing with coughs over the phone and distinguishing a diagnosis as a result of it. But hey, different world back then.
Force majeure.
And if people want to see the paper, I'll put the links in the comments afterwards, so feel free to have a look at those later. Next up, question 13. So this was from Ben Gowland. How many investment and impact fund points are available to PCNs in 2020 and 21?
I put 180.
Close, Andy, but no. Not far off, though. So the actual answer was 194.
Okay.
So a reasonable amount there. And then question 14 that was asked by Serena. So according to the medical accountants, which two expenses are most significant that locum GP can claim for as tax deductible? Right. What did you go for, Andy?
Education and mileage I went for.
Interesting. Well, we're going to hear from Serena herself, so I'm going to pop her on so that we can have a listen to the answer. Yeah. So bear with us 1 second.
And the answer is pension contributions and car expenses.
Oh, pension contributions. I suppose they are tax deductible, aren't they? Okay, yeah, because that's going to be huge. Yeah, so I'd be interested to know what the third is and if the third is education. But okay, good.
I'll find out from Serena later down the line. Okay, so before we go to the images, just because I'm on the same screen there, I'm going to go to the tiebreaker. So this was asked by Damien, and let me bring it up. So the tiebreaker was, to the nearest million, how many prescription items were sent by EPS in September 2020? And Damien's going to give us the answer. So let's bring him back on.
In September 2020, the number of prescription items sent electronically was 80,996,008. So to the nearest million, that's 81 million prescriptions.
So I went 120. So
okay,
which you know, obviously way off, but I think my underlying logic was close. It's just when you multiply by 60 million people, you know, a small error in the average number of prescriptions per member of the population is magnified 60 million times, which throws you off a bit.
But still quite a lot. I mean, 80 million, 81 million, that's a fair amount.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, they've obviously got good infrastructure. Always seems to work. And when it doesn't, it's human error. So.
Yeah, true. So last up, we have the image questions. I'm going to bring these back up, Andy. What did you think?
Right. Okay. So, yeah, it took my brain a little while to acclimatise to this. So I'm going to throw some out. So I think that's 14 fish that are there. So that was probably the easiest. I think B is MediConnect, I think, because I think the second symbol is a bit like a sort of chain link or something like that. I'm going to go with C as red, because that's the colour in the dot. More, because there's a plus sign, and health, because there's like a person there who looks like they're a healthcare professional. E, I was thinking one of these has to be AccuRx, basically, which is where I was coming from. So I thought, okay, target, medicine, prescription, RX, so AccuRx for E. A was really difficult, and I was, it's a bit like decoding a cipher, because I've seen the medicine symbol a few times, you know, I'm getting an idea of how you're using things, but the medallion and the clown just threw me. So I had no idea about A.
Not bad, you got 3 of them, so you did well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll come back to A because that seems to be the one that stumped you. And to be honest, that is probably the hardest one there. And B was actually MediLink. So that's the emoji for link.
Okay.
Keyboard and stuff. So medicine and then the link symbol, so MediLink. You're right. C was red more health. So the plus sign being more and then health. Yeah. D probably the easiest of the lot. 14 fish because there's 14 fish there. And E, bang on, good reasoning, Accurix. So target for accurate, and then, yep, the tablet for the indicate prescription, hence treatment and Accurix. A, so if I was to say that the clown was meant to indicate a very famous and scary clown.
Okay, it.
Yeah.
That's going to be it from the film It. Yeah, it. Okay, give me some more. Give me some more clues.
Number one being primary.
Okay, so it's primary care IT.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's tough. I'd be surprised if many people got that one, Gandhi. So primary, so that's a gold medal, I suppose. Like primary. Okay. Yeah. I think you're stretching it a bit with that one.
Yeah. Well,
but good on you. Good on you. Yeah, it's tough. You need these discriminator questions to sort the wheat like me from the kind of, you know, the gold or whatever, or the chaff like me from the wheat. So
okay. And I guess if we go to the answers then, so we actually, I'm going to say we have a tie, and the reason why I'm going to say that, so although nobody got all of them, I completely understand this was really difficult and it was intended to be so. However, we have got one person that's got 6 and we've got one person that's got 5 correct. However, the person that's got 6 is actually one of the people that asked one of the questions. So I'm going to take off that one, I'm afraid, because I don't think that's fair. But as I said, the people who have asked the questions could answer them and stuff. So we have joint winners then. I'm going to allocate this. So both to Jamie Hines and to Nafisa Mumtaz. So congratulations, both of you. You've won the live one. So I'm going to split the kind of the voucher and stuff, and I'll send that to each of you individually after this is all over and stuff. And yeah, hopefully you've all enjoyed playing our really difficult GP New Year quiz with us.
Hang on, Gandhi. So there was a tiebreaker question. So there shouldn't be 2 winners unless they both got the same answer on the tiebreaker question. Sorry, Jamie or Mataz for.
So okay, let's see who won. You're right, Andy. I am being silly there. I created a tiebreaker just for this situation. I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, your quiz, your rules, Gandhi. It's up to you.
Actually, that's the reason it was there. So let's have a little look. I'm just gonna have to have a look at the individual results then. So the closest one out of the 2. So I'm just having to go through each individual answer. Was Jamie.
There we go.
All right. So, Jamie, congratulations. You've won. And I will send that through to you. Nafisa, actually, I'm going to send you something else as well, separate to that. So, well done as well. I think that's fair from my perspective. Welcome to those that are joining us from the replay. Hopefully you've also enjoyed this. So for those that are playing on the replay, although there's no financial prize, as I said, anybody that does get all the answers, you'll be getting a copy of the Super Virus game, and I'll be sending that to everybody who's played today as well. I hope you've all enjoyed this, really. Kind of created it just to give everybody a kind of like, yeah, just something fun to do whilst we finish off, you know, this really crazy 2020 year. Did you enjoy it, Andy?
You know what? I really enjoyed that, Gandhi, actually. That was fun. Yeah, I think we all need a little bit more light relief. It's harder to get it, isn't it, when you can't go out and relax and see your friends and family and things like that. So thanks, Gandhi, for organising that. That was really good fun.
And hopefully you can all join us in the coming year. We've got plenty of planned for you from eGPlearning. As I said, on Saturday, join us and Ben Garland as we talk about kind of reviewing 2020 as we start the new year. And then from next week onwards, we've got more content coming out to you every single week as usual. Anyway, I think that's it from me. And I think we're going to head off now, aren't we, Andy?
Yep. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yep. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you have a good day and good luck in 2021.